Massive altcoin ETF news. If you're a crypto holder, everybody, this is for you, especially if you're a bull. This is not a zoomed in video. I want to talk about some things that are going on right now, but confirmed, very big news, in particular for Solana, Litecoin, and HBAR ETF launching tomorrow. 2 rate cuts, no quantitative tightening, US-China deal, November seasonality, ETF approval, US government reopens, Treasury stealth quantitative easing, and do you think alts won't pump? Bullish times ahead for altcoins. This is the altcoin market cap zoomed out. Have a lot to talk about in this video, and I even want to look at Solana charts, HBAR charts. I want to look at Litecoin. I want to look at Ethereum. I want to look at ADA. You can just skip around. You can go to the timestamps if you'd like, but I want to look at all of those charts and dissect what is going on right now for just the total landscape for this altcoin market cap chart and the bull market that I think is right ahead of us. Hit the subscribe and like on the way in. If you're not in our intelligence system with our risk models, get back there. Start planning based on risk, not emotion, not speculation, based on data. We have a free trial going on right now. You can plan your exits and set up your strategies back there. So check us out. Before we dive into the video, I actually have Zero, which is our autonomous AI in our intelligence system. And it's trained on all of our data, our risk models and everything. And I wanted to post this question as we start the video. And while it answers, I'm going to go through some other things. We'll come back to this. But I'm basically asking for Bitcoin, ADA, and Ethereum, bull market speculation. What do you think they'll do based off of a lot of the things that are going on, right? That's what Zero is answering right now. So I want to come back to this in just a minute, and we'll see what the price predictions are in relation to that. But here's just a very general look at everything that's going on right now. I want to start here, and then we'll look at the altcoin ETF news, and then we're just going to dissect a lot of these altcoins. $2.7 trillion has been wiped out of gold market cap in a week. Do you understand how much? Do you understand how much money that is? Liquidity will now flow into Bitcoin. So here's gold, and by the way, the altcoin market cap chart, excluding Bitcoin and stablecoins, is just above $1 trillion. So just think about how much money wiped out of gold in a week. It's like almost double the entire market cap of altcoins. But what I want to point to your attention is this all sounds good, right? Liquidity will flow into Bitcoin. Liquidity will flow into altcoins. I want to mention this, and I know I mentioned it before. Here it is topping out last time, and then it starts topping out, right? And we still have to see if it's definitely topping out. But it took a little bit of consolidation on gold before altcoins really started breaking out. It wasn't like the week gold topped, which is like right now, 2 weeks later, all of a sudden altcoins started just going parabolic at this moment, right? We've looked at this on the chart all the way back here. This is when gold topped last cycle. There was a bit of consolidation on the altcoin charts. So be careful with that. But right now, let's continue monitoring gold. On top of that, and really the headline news of the day, I think, is this. The exchange has just posted listing notices for Bitwise Solana, Canary Litecoin, and Canary HBAR to launch tomorrow, and Grayscale Solana to convert the day after. Assuming there's not some last-minute SEC intervention, looks like this is happening. We are at the very beginning of altcoin ETF season. There are so many more altcoin ETF approvals on the sideline right now waiting. And this is going to unlock just an institutional path for all this money and capital to pour into the space. And I think as we kind of evaluate and we watch and we wait for altcoins to break out, it's kind of like we've seen this entire cycle. It's been higher highs and higher lows, but it seems like something's suppressed, right? And it really begs the question, is it being done on purpose to allow for the slow redistribution, the accumulation of altcoins to set up for what is about to be unlocked on top of everything else, right? On top of the pro-crypto legislation. But let's look at some of these charts. I'm going to start with Solana, and then we're going to revisit and look at what Zero said over here in terms of price predictions for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and ADA, because I do want to look at the Ethereum and ADA charts briefly as well. This is a Solana chart. Keep in mind everything that's going on right now with the Solana ETF. It's been, if you look at this, insane to think about this. Look at this, 2021. We've not broken last cycle's all-time high. But you know what has happened? If you look at just this chart, look at it. A complete reset of all of these momentum oscillators. This right here is a slower moving RSI. It is sitting right around 57. This is just a completely neutral territory. The upside, this is a monthly chart, by the way. This isn't like a weekly. This is a monthly chart. The upside that Solana has on this chart is insane. It has the fuel for an entire bull market ahead of itself. And if you go back to a Solana risk model, it's sitting at a 33 in our intelligence system, which is a very low risk score. Go back to last cycle. Look at where it was topping out at the top of the bull market, 98. So imagine that journey. If you go back to our risk model of last cycle for Solana and you try and just, where are the 30s, right? Because we're at a 33 right now. Here's a 30, December 2020. Here's 40, January 2021. Look at the upside that Solana had in play. And I'm not saying the chart will be the same. This cycle has proven none of these charts have been the same. But what I am saying is whether the top for Solana on our risk models will be 75 or 100, you can just see we're sitting at a 33. There is an entire bull market in store. And the question will be, if you had our risk model, if you had a risk model for Solana, for instance, when would you be selling if we start hitting these numbers? 81 or even the 60s, would you be taking profits? So that's a Solana chart. That's a Solana risk model. The monthly chart on Solana just looking primed and ready for a breakout. Whether it's just the structure that we have from a multi-year view or even just back here to March, the structure and consolidation of this channel, just insane to look at. HBAR. I want to bring up these charts because we have this altcoin ETF narrative right now specifically for these charts. And there's many others, by the way, but this is HBAR, a coin that I am just, unfortunately, I just don't have exposure to in my portfolio. And I think, and it's okay. You can't just, at least for me, my approach is not just to like be in everything. I'm going to enjoy watching coins that I don't hold just do really well. And HBAR, I think, is going to be one of them. Very solid community, solid project. And we have these narratives in terms of the altcoin ETFs. So if you look at HBAR on the weekly, this is what we're looking at. Again, very similar. Has not broken the last cycle's all-time high. It is a complete reset. Even if you look at the momentum oscillator, the slower moving momentum oscillator, the RSI, it has an entire bull market. This is a weekly chart, not a monthly. The risk model for HBAR is a 54, higher than Solana. But what I really want to point to your attention is this. If you go back to 2021, right, you see HBAR kind of consolidating right here, January 2021, pre-bull move. It was a 52. These risk models operate differently. They really do. And so whether you're on HBAR or you're on Solana or Bitcoin, they're all just going to look a little bit different for the most part. And you'll see the risk and the ways that scores change also operate different. But 50s, last cycle, was a pre-bull market move for HBAR. And you can just see what happened next. It went into this bull market, and you can see it had a swing high on the risk score of 94. The first swing high was an 88, consolidated, and then went to a 94. But at the time when it was, if you go back here, it was like 52, January 9th. It was 5 cents. Right now, we're 54 this cycle, and it's around 18 cents. The starting point is higher in terms of price, and man, the project itself, the crypto space itself has an entire new narrative. And narrative is not even the right word, and I say that too much. But you see what's happening in the crypto space right now, everybody. Do you see the pivot? Do you see the trillions that are getting ready to unlock? And if we go back to the total crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin and stablecoins, 1.27 trillion. The upside here is insane for all of these altcoins. I'm excited to actually cover Litecoin briefly because you know what I think is going to happen this cycle? I think Litecoin is going to break all-time highs. And I'm incredibly happy for the Litecoin community. I will be so happy if this happens. I used to be a Litecoin holder and in the earlier days back here, and I pivoted through the years and I did videos on why I did that. But right now, Litecoin is kind of, I think it's re-solidifying its place in the crypto space, and it's taken a lot of hustle and time to do that. But you can see Litecoin is in this big news that's going on right now for good reason, right? But look at the risk model for Litecoin. Litecoin is sitting at a 41. what I really like about the risk model is not just the scores and just the amount of data we have. We have a 2013 bull market data to use. If you're a Litecoin holder, you have a ton of data on the risk models. The more data on the risk models, I think, is way more helpful. And so if you look at Litecoin, you can just see Litecoin did not have just this great bull market last cycle. It topped out like, it looks like around 79 in terms of risk. 2 cycles ago, it did pretty decent, topping out at 100, right? $355 or so on that chart. But here's what we have right now. The risk model for Litecoin is completely reset after like cycles worth of consolidation. And now Litecoin has this kind of opening where it will get institutional adoption and capital inflows. And so Litecoin is an OG. I would not underestimate it this cycle. And the upside here in terms of risk is very clear. So let's look at Ethereum and ADA. And to really start this part, I'm going to go over here and just see what ADA said. So, or what Zero said about Ethereum and ADA. Bitcoin is saying base case 150 to 180, driven by ETF inflows, retail FOMO, macro tailwinds. Bull case 200 to 250. If Bitcoin follows its historical post-halving trend, a parabolic move driven by liquidity and adoption could see Bitcoin reaching these levels. I agree with both of those takes. Base case for Ethereum, 6,000 to 8,000. We're about to look at that on the chart. Institutional adoption via ETFs, growing layer 2 adoption. It could comfortably double or triple from current levels. Bull case, 10 to 15,000. And this is a good point. Staking, reaching new peaks, which is so possible, not just for Ethereum, but products like Solana or even Cardano, just an inflow because of these staking products that are coming about. So 10 to 15,000 is the bull case. Base case for Cardano, 350 to 550. ADA could turn to its previous all-time high of 3 and push beyond if the ecosystem continues growing and altcoin season takes hold. I want to add to this. I think the midnight narrative will help that. I think the Cardano ETF will help with that. But you know what I think could potentially just fuel? I maybe would put this in the bull case of $7 to $10. If Cardano manages, and this is in play, I did a video on it not long ago because this is kind of new news. If Cardano gets a stable coin like USDT, the bull case for Cardano is absolutely $7 to $10. So if ADA captures significant DeFi smart contract market share, and I think that would happen via getting a stable coin like USDT, or experience speculative mania, it could outperform expectations. So obviously potential risks and challenges, recession risk, macroeconomic shocks, regulatory hurdles. But you know what? Right now, it's looking like regulatory hurdles are not so much there. And it looks like the SEC is absolutely looking to unlock the entire space. And that is why I think trillions are getting ready to enter the space. And then market saturation, I think, is a good point to keep in mind. Retail participation may not match 2021 cycle, leading to more subdued price action. It could be the case. So Ethereum, if we go look at Ethereum charts, this and what Zero said lines up exactly with what I've been kind of looking at and talking about. The 1618 higher high target is just below 6,000, but we have this general range up to around 10,000 with a potential like peaking out parabolic kind of swing high like we had last cycle and even 2 cycles ago, kind of up towards the $15,000 area. Right now, the setup for it technically is so sound. Out of this entire symmetrical triangle, the throwback to the apex right now, if we get a continuation for Ethereum, and we might go sideways, we might trickle further down into the mid 3,000s. But if we get the bull market, all of this range and those price targets make complete sense. And then going over to ADA, it's kind of the same thing. If you look at this, insanely enough, and Zero didn't see this chart, but just look at it. That $7 to $10 range up here, 100% in play for the kind of this like peak out area for just a mania driven bull market, I would say, for crypto in general, everything doing really well. Cardano hitting $7 to $10. But even look at this, $5 is a 1618 higher high for Cardano, and such a realistic kind of price target. The $197 billion market cap reference, I think, is like around 550. It looks like that's what I have here on this chart. But either way, $200 billion market cap for Cardano is just insanely in play, everybody. If you look at what Ethereum did last cycle, it's almost a $300 billion market cap chart for Cardano is very much in play. But this isn't a short-term analysis. You can see the path to get there. The one thing I wanted to talk about really quickly on Cardano, and this applies to all cryptos, we go through these seasons where it's just like so long of like, is there even going to be gains for the crypto space? Look at this. Last cycle, over 1,000 days. And then the move happens 252 days. This is what's happening again. Just been nonstop. Like, is this ever going to break out? Are we ever even going to have a bull market? Well, you know what? There's such a possibility that, yeah, it does happen, and it just happens way quicker than you would have anticipated. It's been kind of a nice higher high, higher low growth for a lot of altcoins. There's not been that breakout, and maybe it continues that way, right? And it's just a longer extended type of move towards all-time highs. But if we get a breakout, just be prepared. And I know it totally sounds like I'm shilling here, but the best way to prepare is by having access to data-driven analytics. These are institutional grade, enterprise grade risk models. They pull in a ton of different data to gauge risk so that if the move happens, you can evaluate risk during those moves and just take profits along the way so that you're just not, stuck or get caught round tripping a bull market. So that's the purpose of the risk models. So those are my thoughts today. There's so much going on, everybody, but this is kind of just a general overview of kind of some of these coins, their risk, and what's going on with these ETFs. So hit the subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and if you're not in the intelligence system, get back there. We are so close to launching the text alerts, which I'm incredibly excited about. And I also want to say crypto payments also very close, because I know there's probably a lot of you that might just be like, man, accept crypto, please. Well, I'm working on it. We really are. And I don't think it's going to be that much longer. So I appreciate each and every one of you for cruising through. I will see you all in the next video. God bless.